Hello everyone, today I want to build a base, and it's going to be an underwater base. I thought it would fit with the theme of Nova Terra, as one of the major goals is to purify water. And I'm thinking of doing it off the coast here. Of course I want to make the shoreline look a little nicer as well, which is why I'm cleaning this up. Alright, that is all of them gone. Everything does still work at 100% power, quite surprisingly. But I think just in case, let's just place down a geothermal plant right there. And then I need to work on this area fertilizer. I don't really like the looks of it here. It's also not working properly anyway. Well, I mean, it already did its job, so I don't think it really does anything regardless. The water purifier I think can stay. This has to go, this water pump. And that is because I want to extend this down to the ocean floor. I haven't tested out much, I will admit. So if this entire idea is even going to work, I am not sure. Something that clearly isn't going to work, it doesn't really snap on here. Also interesting, surprisingly, we're not drowning, but because our energy meter doesn't fill up, that's why we're dying. Not really what I expected. I wonder how that's going to work inside of a base then, because that could be quite interesting. Alright, I think we have the basic stairs down. So let's add some fencing. I really feel like these were not made to be placed on these floors. But yeah, for example, this corner here, it doesn't fit. Alright, now we're gonna have to line this up with the end of this. Very annoying. And we also died from drowning. That happened crazy quickly. Building underwater is not easy. So I'm just gonna add another high capacity battery. We weren't really using the cooling module anyway, so a bit of extra energy is great. Alright, back to this. It's not as easy as you would hope this would be. But I think if I do it like so... Yeah, now I can place one down. That just floats, that is not good. Can I lock it onto that one? Of course. Why does it keep... Right, because the actual door is down below, isn't it? Oh! That is not what I expected to happen. That just destroyed that entire floor. The water is so clear that you can, well, clearly see the base from up here. Alright, so now if I place down a floor panel... It does not want to click on. Alright. Alright, well, here we go. How is it going in here? Oh no, energy is still draining. But clearly, underwater bases are not a great idea. Who would have known? Alright, I want to place down some stairs. This way we can actually have air while we're in the base. Now, from memory, stairs never liked play ball. Especially not in this small compartment. Come on, game. Need to turn this, but it doesn't want to. There we go. We are also floating in here. It's like being in space. Okay, here we go. Now we're free. Energy is going up. Alright, so one of the major problems that I'm seeing is the way this is designed, or the building system is designed rather, is that depending on the corner, it will automatically lock into a certain position for the stairs. One that I cannot move. And I'm on top of the roof now, for some reason. However, what this means is we just have to expand a little bit. So we go like so. There is a hole here now, so that's not good. So we'll have to remove that. Yeah, okay. It takes a little while to get all the way up here. But I think we got a good section now. Now I want everything that is usable underground or underwater. This is just the oxygen room, nothing else. We can say, though, that we can sleep here. I will be decorating it, of course. It'd be kind of boring otherwise. Right, and I think this is going to be our room. Looks quite nice, so we can look over to the main area that we used to live in. And let's go back down below the water. We need to fix this. So what I'm thinking... All we have to do is just remove this part and replace it. It probably does include this section right here, because the ceiling otherwise would be kind of messy. There we go, it's all fixed now. Alright, I would like to get the workstations down below here. Have a railing so we don't fall off while working. Let's see, we need some electronic panels. I think we'll have that up here and not down below. You know, something about water seems a bit off to put it there. Men says as he places down all the other electronic devices down there. Something I'm actually wondering, right? What happens when we place, say, the boat underwater? Interesting, we can't. I was able to place it indoors, weirdly enough. Or I was a second ago, anyway. What the hell happened? Did the game actually figured out that you shouldn't be doing that? Or is it because I see, I placed it up here where the water line is. That makes a lot more sense. I thought we could have like an underwater garage, but I don't think that was gonna work. We still could, potentially. It seems like we can place the ship under here. That could be kind of interesting. Yeah, we would have to build that off of this one here, off the back. And overstate how the energy is just such a limiting factor here. You know what, I think I'm gonna make another one. We don't really need the O2 tank anymore, because it's for some reason draining energy down here. We have a good atmosphere all over the planet, I'm pretty sure. Seeing as we build one of the control towers. So that can be retired. There we go. 1100 energy. I could make it even more. Could make it 1300, but then we wouldn't have a jetpack. And I'd rather have that. Of course, placing things down also costs energy. And energy drains underwater, so it's like double up on how quickly our energy goes down here. Alright, I got the walls in place. I thought they would line up a little nicer. Especially with the windows, but I guess they don't. The ceiling is going to have to be open because we have to, of course, go in and out. I would like to change out this wall with a door. There we go. And next up, I kind of hope this is going to work. We need a door. That is what I was afraid of. So we have to, oh no, we have to remove 2 of them. 2 full walls. The annoying part is there's no one here. No smaller wall. Huh. I didn't pay attention to energy for 1 second and I died. Also, I spawn out here now. Luckily, we have a giant climate regulator here. The spawning does seem to be a bit random, in my opinion. Because when we died before, we spawned back at our main base. I wonder why we spawn here now. Luckily, the teleporter is right next door to our base. Alright, I made a raised area. Just a step so you don't see the underside of the base. However, the main problem I'm having right now, well, besides dying the entire time, I'm not sure how we're gonna do that part. I might have to extend the base out farther this way, just so the walls line up. That might look best. Makes the base a lot larger though, which I am not a fan of, because I wanted to keep this kind of small because it's a very tedious project. But I guess it is what it is. The most tedious part about it is waiting for the energy to go back up. Because after that we can jump down here and then within seconds all the energy is gone again. Alright, ship platform. Yeah, one of our walls is gone. This is a lot taller than I had in mind. Oh man. Oh no. Yeah, this room just needs to be a lot bigger. When you place it down in the world, it doesn't look that large, but I guess this is a very small area. Now it looks humongous. Actually, can we go underwater with the rover? Oh my god. That's just gonna help out so much. I'm learning tech in this playthrough that I never expected to learn. Yeah, that is so much better, because now I can just build anything, right? Can I go indoors? Yes. Okay, that's gonna make life a lot easier then. Alright, I wanna have this over there in the middle of the room, kinda, well, towards the back. Then we can have stairs on either side. Of course, it would float for some reason. Alright, so we're just gonna have to deal with how this goes and turns out, because for some reason it's floating. So let's add the raised area. And let's add this all around the platform. That way it doesn't look so weird. However, the stairs do require a raised section as well. At that point, I think pretty much the entire base is going to be raised here, or the floor. Alright, yeah, so most of it is raised. Then we need one of those ship recallers. And then hope that the ship... Well, it's landing on the water, which is less ideal. Right, it actually can't go under, does it? Well then. Well, we at least have something, I suppose. Doesn't work 100%, but it recalls the ship when we can use it. Let's add a little decoration to the mix. I don't like how the ceiling here doesn't really have textures on the side. But other than that, I think this looks alright. Alright, next up I want to work on this outside area. It's definitely going to need a railing. Alright, that was a lot simpler than I thought it would be. However, I do think these gaps can't really do much about those, sadly. I will say though, every time we do this, I remember how little decorations we actually have. We can have a teleporter here, actually. There we go, call it the underwater base. I'd like to add some structural support. I'm not sure how well that's gonna go. I don't think it works. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. However, we can add columns like this. Right? We can have those under... Why is it not connecting, man? Why is this game like this? Any custom thing you want to build, it makes it so much harder. If anything, I think these work better as supports. Alright, I added a bunch of supports on the underside. I guess we may as well do the same on this staircase section. Alright, I added a pipe out here. Goes to a refiner. Well, it's not actually connected, but more so connected to the wall. And then I was like, what can we place on the other side that would kind of make sense? So I added the refiner to it. Just adds a little extra intrigue, I think. Just gotta bury this real quick, so it doesn't look like it goes to nothing. I think with that, the outside is done. Alright, let's start working on the inside. Alright, I decided to make this bottom section a research area, so you come in. You do have a nice view, I guess, of the outside. A little bit of storage. You go in farther, you see the material analyzer. And then this section right here is where the planet analyzer is. And you can also look out farther over the water. So this, for example, is where we would check the toxicity level of the water itself. Of course, it's all purified now. And keep in mind that in this hypothetical situation where we would be able to use all this in a real life scenario, the base is not flooded. Alright, let's go up a layer. I think I want to make this a kitchen, seeing as that is the only one of the pieces left we got. Well, this is kind of annoying. I have to remove this entire... No, we have to remove this entire piece. Just because one of the walls got snapped. Can we replace that wall? The annoying part is I think it's a in-between piece, so I don't think so. You know what? We're just gonna fill it up like that. I was trying to place a banister down. It didn't really want to snap, so it went into the wall. I was like, well, it's probably fine. It was not. It was not fine. Alright, the kitchen area is done. I think this one looks pretty clean. Got a table. Got a monitor on there as well, but it's where we can eat as well as prepare stuff on this side. Of course, the entire kitchen facility, including with the cabinets. Here's another shelf. We can place our plates or glass in here. Some planters for fresh herbs. And then this section, nothing too much, it's just a little hallway. And then back behind the wall, I think I'm just going to place on lockers. Because it's going to the stairs anyway. And that goes over to this section, our workspace. And that goes over to our bedroom. Let's go check it out. I think we got everything in place now. So we walk down below. This is where we go blub blub. We got this nice little outside area. There's two ways of entry. One of them would be over here. This leads to the vehicle bay. Which, I mean, technically works. Not really how I had in mind. Go into the main building. We have a research area where we can keep an eye out on the water toxicity. Seems to be good. Another exit towards the vehicle bay. We go up the stairs. This is where we have the kitchen. Quite nice. And we go out here. Some shelving. This is just storage. We got our workspace. Also where the water level is at. And then on top here we can sleep. And watch YouTube videos. Is this a very practical build? No, it's actually very annoying to get around, I will admit. I did not expect to go floaty in the base. Let's add a couple wind turbines. For a bit of extra added flair in the background. So now whenever we come back to Nova Terra, we have a base. It has quite a nice view. Right next to one of the old ruined buildings. I think in the rare cases, we will probably be using this little shack more often. But hey, you know, not all bases work out. Some are kind of a gamble. Like we had a floating base and that worked really well. We had one inside of a cliff that worked really well. Underwater, not so much. But hey, I hope you all enjoyed and I'll see you on the next one. Bye everyone.